slyness, spatial defamiliarizations, a certain opacity and reticence that works as a kind of gauze over the seeming brightness and accessibility. I guess a sense of veils, mirth and gaiety with veils that I really love. So he gave me the chance to write in response to his paintings, and I simply said, it was really the first time I had ever said this, I said to an artist, I said, I'm not going to write about your paintings if you don't mind, but I just want to respond to them in a lyrical or fictional way. And it was, I think, right around the Trump inauguration when I wrote these. I remember it might have even been on the day of the inauguration that I went to a coffee shop the day before the Women's March, and I sat and I looked at one of Eric's, a PDF JPEG of one of Eric's paintings, and I started imagining these little fables. And so I think of them as political allegories about a very dark time. Eric's paintings are about a lighter mood. I wouldn't say they represent political darkness, but that's what I would say that I took the invitation as a way to figure out something about the function of art in an impossible time. So they are fables for now. I'm going to read very little because it's kind of, I want you to, there's not that much text in this book, and I want you to savor it when you really read it. I'm going to read you a few paragraphs, just stray paragraphs. Okay, so here is the last paragraph of a little fable I wrote about a painting of Eric's called The Snow Falls On. Which is The Snow Falls On?
It's actually, it's not in the show.
It's on the show.
It's this painting.
Okay.
It's like, look here, kids.
That's the painting. Okay, and there's a dog in the room, so this is a paragraph that is about. Okay. Here's the paragraph. The power relations between Sheila and me oscillate. Their non-fixity is a heavy snowfall landing right now on a tame Rottweiler wearing a fancy alpaca snow shield to protect the Rottweiler, a pacifist, from catching pneumonia. Dogs can catch pneumonia. Dogs can be pacifists. Dogs can be fashion plates. Dogs can be wayfarers in snowy Flemish landscapes. I can't be a dog, however, just as I can't be a milkshake. And just as I can't avoid the instructions Sheila is now giving me. Dance, dance, dance. If I had a draft card, I'd burn it. If Sheila could forge me a draft card, I'd thank her, and then I'd burn it. I speak to you as paid representative of Sheila's dance studio, which doesn't yet rule the land. And that's Sheila, like S-H-E-I-L-A, not like Egon Sheila. You probably thought this was about Egon Sheila. Because here we are at the center of art and expressionism and beauty. Here's the last paragraph of a fable called Pincushion with Thimble. And it's right here. Okay, look, can you imagine the artistic oasis I inhabited looking at that and then just closing my eyes and saying, what space can I conjure? Pincushion with thimble. The last paragraph. Which God do we fear today? The God of telephones? The God of thimbles? The God of morphine? The God of smoke shops? In any smoke shop worth its name, you could see pinned upon the Empyrean billboard the divine hit list in which I play the starring role, just because I wouldn't wear the pantsuit that Cressida kindly sewed for me. The pantsuit obeyed no fashion law I could respect. The pantsuit was not Maoist. the pantsuit was not reminiscent of Yves Saint Laurent. Although every god wanted me to wear the pantsuit, I was born to eschew the clothes that citizens like Cress self-flagellatingly sew for me. Is it my fault that Cress is a self-flagellator? Yeah, it is my fault. Okay. Okay, here's a paragraph, 2 paragraphs from Zucchini Blossoms. Eric, do we have Zucchini Blossoms
Zucchini
here?
Blossoms isn't in here either.
Okay.
Well, it's in the book, not on the book.
Okay.
Show us.
Show us.
Okay, here's 2 paragraphs. This one concerns Esther, is the character. When I have finished considering all the elements awaiting my attention, I will reply to the Zucchini Blossoms, whose ultimatums, an unspecifiable shade between yellow and orange, terrify any spectator who hasn't forfeited the indwelling moral compass that is native to every human being. Esther holds the compass in her fist, a fist uncertain of its obligations to the New World Order, a regime that extends no courtesies to martyr goddesses like Esther, who stares into every crystal ball she can find on the clamorous boulevard outside her shelter. Okay, now here is Gay Memphis Bookcase, which is kind of my favorite. Somebody asked me, what's your favorite in this? It's Gay Memphis Bookcase, because it really sticks out. And also, it's 'cause when I wrote this story, I didn't think of it as being the Memphis style of design, but the city Memphis. So I imagined it was a bookcase in Memphis, owned by a gay person or just like whatever. So here's the last paragraph of my little fable, Gay Memphis Bookcase. Okay. This concerns, there's a character named Bob and his mother Arlene. You don't need to care. You won't. Even after reading the story, you won't care. It's not the kind of story I write. If I could find a way to get pregnant, I could give birth. If I could give birth, I could buy my infant a chemistry set suitable for toddlers. My infant could become a toddler mature enough to make use of the chemistry set. I could place the chemistry set, when my toddler wasn't using it, on the Gay Memphis Bookcase. My toddler and I could form an army of 2. We could protect the Gay Memphis Bookcase against the classmates that my toddler would eventually meet, the classmates who would make fun of the Gay Memphis Bookcase. To my toddler, I could tell stories about poor limited Bob, who didn't understand his mother's foresight. I could tell stories about Arlene, Bob's mother. I could take my toddler on a voyage to Memphis. In Memphis, we could stay in a motel together, and I could feed my toddler a bowl of alphabet soup, procured from the motel's restaurant, but consumed in our room. Like an orange lozenge and a blue lozenge, my toddler and I would hover in the sky above the Gay Memphis Bookcase. We would watch over the shenanigans, cheerful but pathetic, that take place whenever a chemistry set overrides its proprietor, whenever a gift cancels its recipient, whenever blue forgets its debt to orange. Color theorists, what is blue's debt to orange? Okay. Here's the last paragraph of Reverse Butterfly. Is it in the show? It's back there. Okay.
Which is also kind of like the mascot of the book.
And it symbolizes the book because butterflies are ephemeral, precious, and very vulnerable. And if you and that sense of fugitivity is very much like Eric's sensibility. And if you reverse the butterfly, you are preserving it through that defamiliarization, I think. So anyone could do a butterfly, but only Eric could do a reverse butterfly. Okay, so here's the last paragraph of the story. Years ago, I met Diane von Furstenberg at a party when she came to Baltimore for the premiere of Watch Me Strut, an unfinished film by Max O'Fool, which takes place in Baltimore as well as in Anchorage. The Flight to Eden scenes were filmed in Anchorage. The Towering Inferno scenes were filmed in Baltimore. I don't appear in this movie. When I met Diane von Furstenberg, she congratulated me on my butterfly pin fastened to my lapel. Her cheekbones were so large and so beautiful that I gave her my butterfly pin, or tried to, as a gift of appreciation. She turned away from me at the moment I was considering offering her the pin. In truth, she turned away from me the moment before I considered offering her the pin. That's the story of my life. Okay, and now I shall read you the 2 paragraphs from the greenhouse, which is right there. And this is the darkest of the fables. In the greenhouse, a pink flower lost 3 of its petals. The pink flower, without a voice, couldn't say farewell to its petals. The pink flower regarded their death with a stony countenance. Does a flower have a face? Does a flower feel sadness? Does a flower understand its lack of words? Does a greenhouse understand the flowers it lodges? If a greenhouse is indifferent to its flowers, could I set up an empathy school and teach the greenhouse to feel sorrow? Could the pink flower enroll in my empathy school? And then I'll read the last 2 paragraphs, short. I canceled plans for the empathy school. Neither the pink flower nor the illogical seagulls would have the opportunity to study under my aegis. I would live functionless inside the greenhouse. I would befriend the pink flower, even if it was incapable of reciprocating. Dreams of my omnipotence, like tomatoes, grew on vines, impinging on the greenhouse's transparent walls. No one could see the vines or the dreams growing on them. Of these tomatoes, I would make confit. Adjectives would season the confit. Adjectives more salubrious than allspice or celery salt. And I won't say that celery salt, which is the last word in the book, represents anything about the genius of Eric Hibit, except perhaps that you would say celery salt is the secret weapon in the spice cabinet arsenal. And let's just say that the celery salt has not yet. We still have things to learn from celery salt. So don't open your eyes, take in the wonder. Okay, thank you.
I love that celery salt.